Namaskaram, I'm Sidharth Prakash and I welcome you all to this episode of Raga Insight by Prashala, and today we will be setting our sights on the Raga Mohanam. The word Mohana in Sanskrit means beautiful, charming, and this Raga is definitely true to its name. Mohanam is definitely a very beautiful Raga, very pleasing, very pleasant and easily recognizable. It is one of the most popular ragas in Indian classical music. It is known as Mohanam in Carnatic music, Bhupali in Hindustani music, and it's very, very prevalent in many other Asian cultures as well. Let me ask you a question. What comes to your mind when you think about the raga Mohanam? I'm pretty sure 90% of the time someone will say, aha, such a cute raga, it's so small and tiny, and I get images of Lord Krishna running around chasing cows, or stealing butter from the kitchen. Most of the time this is the visualization that everybody gets. But let me tell you that Mohanam is equally capable of bringing images of Krishna's Kalinga Nartanam as well. It's such a grand raga. Such is the scope of this raga. It's as grand as a Shankarabharanam or a Todi, and it's capable of massive expansion and delineation and patterns and different varieties. It can be sung for hours and hours, and it has been sung for hours together by the great masters and vidwans of the past. Moving on to the slightly technical aspects, Mohanam is a very straightforward raga. It is called an Audava raga or a pentatonic scale raga because it has 5 swaras in its Arohanam as well as Avarohanam, ascent and descent. Sari ga pada sa sada pa ga re sa. Due to the simplicity of this raga, it gives rise to a lot of patterns and varieties, Vadi, Samvadi phrases, patterns of 3s, 4s and 5s. For example, Sari ga sa pa da sa pa sari ga sa, or Ri da sa da ga pa Ri da sa. So Mohanam is one of those ragas which accompanies a music student throughout his journey. At every stage, at every point you will find and you will meet a Mohanam. And right from the initial stages of learning the Bala Patham, and then as you progress, the Varnams, and then the Kritis and Kirtanams and Ragam, Tanam, Pallavis, concert stages, what you name anything, you will find Mohanam. Any creative avenue out there, Mohanam has a very important place. It manifests itself in different forms. So usually in the initial stages, the guru will make the student sing all the Sarali verses, the Dhatu verses, the Alankarams, in Mohanam, because it's very user-friendly raga, that's why. And then you come to the Geetam, where you have Varavina, Mridupani, Vanaruha, Lochana Rani, very popular Geetam. It is taught to every single music student. Varavina, Mridupani, Vanaruha, Lochana Rani. And then we have the ever so popular, world famous Mohanam Aditala Varnam, Ninnu Kori. Somebody who doesn't know anything about Carnatic music also, he'll know something about this Varnam. He would have heard Ninnu Kori, once in his lifetime at least. So it's that popular and that famous, and a very important lesson actually. It's a very important composition that a student of music learns. It's one of the first Varnams, if not the first, one of the first Varnams that a student learns. It's either the Shankarabharanam Aditala Varnam or the Mohanam Aditala Varnam. Ninnu Kori Yunna Nura Niki There is also an Atatala Varnam in Mohanam composed by Harikesh Nallur Sri Muttai Bhagavatar. It's a wonderful Atatala Varnam full of zigzags and beautiful patterns that we must definitely all listen to. And then the Kritis and the Kirtanams, where the student is exposed to the full gamut, the full spectrum of Mohanam in all its glory and excellence, and once the student has soaked all the rasam that these compositions have to offer, then they go on to sing Ragam, Tanam, Pallavis and explore various other creative avenues and frontiers. So how does one go about getting to know this raga? What are the important phrases of this raga? What are the jiva swaras of this raga? How do I familiarize myself with this raga? The best way to do this is by listening to old recordings of the yesteryear masters, the Mahavidwans. There is a huge treasure box of collections of old recordings and CDs online. We can always listen to them and refer to them. But one of the better methods, I would say, a foolproof method which has been suggested by the masters themselves, is to learn as many compositions as possible in this raga, and if not, at least listen to the renditions of these compositions and analyze them thoroughly so that you can get a feel of how things work. Usually in a composition, we can refer to the charanam. Basically surrender at the feet of the composition, the charanam of the composition, because that's where the lower regions of the ragas are explored typically. So of course the Anupallavi is the crescendo and all that. The charanam is like usually a precursor to another crescendo that mimics the Anupallavi usually. So the charanam first half is very very good to understand how a raga starts. So, but in the case of Mohanam, I would say, the Pallavi does this job itself. Let's take a look at some of these compositions and try to understand the workings of Mohanam. A multitude of compositions in this raga by various composers, post-Trinity as well as the Trinity themselves. Sri Tanjavur Shankarayya's Ganapatiye Undan Kajal Pandindhen Ganapatiye Undan Kajal Pandindhen Ganavum Maravamale Unnai Ninaindhen Ganapatiye Undan Kajal Pandindhen. And then we have Pallavi Gopal Iyer's Shri Rama Ramani Manohar Shrita Jana Mandara, and Garbhapuri Vasars Marava Kudaya Mohanam Ganapai Marava Kudaya Mohanam Ganapai Marava Kudaya Mohanam Ganapai. Then we have Sadguru Tyagaraja Swami's beautiful compositions Mohana Rama and Nanu Palimpa. I want you all to just observe what is common between these compositions, which phrases are very very common in these compositions, so that we can discuss it later. Nanu Palimpa Nadachiva Chiti Vo Nanu Palimpa Nadachiva Chiti Vo Nanu Palimpa. In fact, Nanu Palimpa has a very beautiful backstory. So, Valajapet Venkataramana Bhagavatar had commissioned a huge grand portrait of Kodanda Rama as a gift to Tyagaraja Swami's daughter as she was getting married. And Tyagaraja Swami was very anxiously waiting for his disciples' arrival, and when Tyagaraja Swami saw his disciples walking towards him, the massive portrait was basically covering his disciple, and in Tyagaraja Swami's eyes it looked as if Rama himself was walking and coming towards him. So in that state of joy or relief, or what Tyagaraja Swami was feeling, he composed Nanu Palimpa Nadachi Vachitivo Na Prananatha. Have you come walking, O Lord of my life, have you come walking to protect me, to save me? So very beautiful composition. And then we have Mohana Rama. Mohana Rama, Mohana Rama. Then we have Tamil Tyagaya, Sri Papanasam Shivan's Narayana Divya Namam, and equally grand Kapali. Narayana Divya Namam Nan Mari Sullum Narayana Divya Namam Nan Mari Sullum Nayakan Tirunamam Kapali கருணை நிலவு பொழிவதனமதியனொரு கப்பலி. So until now you would have observed that all the compositions that we have seen so far, they've primarily started in a very similar fashion, in the lower regions of Mohanam. But let's take a look at some compositions that start in the upper regions. We have Sri Muthuswami Dikshitar's Raja Gopalam Bhajeham, a composition on Mannargudi Raja Gopala Swami. Raja Gopalam Bhajeham Ramanilam Raja Gopalam Bhajeham Ramanilam Raja Gopalam Bhajeham. And then we have Narasimha Agacha. It is on Lord Narasimha, very popular composition. But just take a look at this. Narasimha, Lord Narasimha is such a fierce deity, right? Full of anger and fearsome deity. But Sri Muthuswami Dikshitar has decided to compose on Lord Narasimha by choosing the raga Mohanam. So we can see that Mohanam can definitely be used to depict something that is fierce, Narasimha Gacha Parabrahma Puja Narasimha Gacha Parabrahma Puja. And then we also have Sri Mysore Vasudeva Acharya's Rara Rajiva Lochana, which also begins from the upper sa. Rara Rajiva Lochana Rama Nanu Pro Chutaku Rara Rajiva many compositions actually, Narayana Tirtha's Kshemam Kuru Gopala, and how can we forget Utukad Venkata Kavi's ever so popular Swagatam Krishna, Sharanagatam Krishna. So I think from this we can get a pretty good understanding of which swara is very very important in Mohanam, and the answer is Gandharam, one of the most important swarams. You would have noticed that most of the compositions have so that is such an important phrasing in Mohanam actually, and it evokes the bhava or the rasa of complete surrender to the Lord. One more thing that comes to my mind is that this phrasing of Mohanam, the Gandharam phrasing of Mohanam is can also be used to ask questions, as seen in Sri Arunachala Kavi's Yen Palli Kundiraya. Yen Palli Kundiraya Sri Ranganathar Yen Palli Kundiraya Sri Ranganathar Yen Palli Kundiraya. So another very common phrasing for Mohanam is that phrasing can also be used, to make a statement. Just something that came to my mind. So at the outset, I would like to say that Mohanam is a very deceptively easy raga. It definitely looks very cute and tiny and user friendly, but it definitely is a challenging raga, and it is very very easy to lighten the raga because we are constantly exposed to different variations of this raga, in jingles, advertisements and ringtones or whatnot. So it's very very easy to lighten this raga, so we must constantly keep going back to these grand and beautiful compositions that have been composed and listen to the beautiful renditions, the very weighty, heavy renditions of these compositions by yesteryear Mahavidwans, and soak in the bhava that this raga has to offer. With this, we come to the end of this episode. I have just shared what I feel about all of this. Of course, it's a very subjective topic. I would like to thank H.L. Kumar uncle and Kala Prashala for giving me this wonderful opportunity. I hope you've all gotten some insight into what this raga is all about, and I hope it's a reminder for all of us about the grandeur and the beauty of the raga that is Mohanam. Thank you.